people are so optimistic that January or February or March is going to get them what they need now.
Your house isn't worth what you paid plus what you spent plus what you need. Yeah. It's worth what someone will pay today.
If you don't want to participate in a race to the bottom, then you need to be the first next sale. You are a part of the race to the bottom if you're the second or the third one that sells. Welcome to the Tom Storey Show with Steve Karrasch and Tom Storey, where we discuss everything real estate or whatever else is on our minds.
33. Welcome back to the Tom Storey Show. Happy Sunday or happy whatever day of the week you are listening to us today. My name is Tom. We got our co-host Steve, as always, from Surrey joining us today. And we got a 3-time repeat guest now this week. Mike Kearns has joined us from Collingwood, Thornbury, Meaford. You can go over all the different areas with Roy LePage. Mike, welcome back. How you doing?
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me back, guys.
Well, we just heard that your market was moving really quick these days. So we just wanted to talk to an agent that has lots of sales happening.
Yeah, it's very busy. I was able to carve out an hour for you guys today, but otherwise there's not much time in my schedule.
Yeah, so calling sellers, asking for price reductions the rest of the day.
Yeah, that's right. Or listing properties. So
yeah, that's true. Have you found, has the listing pipeline slowed down at all recently in the fall market, or is it kind of what you've seen all year? Just people are still ready to get on the market?
Well, I mean, typically here we have a seasonal bump. We don't generally have a lot of new inventory that comes to the market in the summer months here. Mm-hmm. So we usually see that push first 2, maybe 3 weeks of September, the people that are trying to catch the tail end of the curve here. So, but I'd say that there'll be very few new listings that'll come out in our area now from this point forward in 2025, unless it's, they have to go for some reason. So
mostly relist then, like stuff that was taken off in the summer and has just come back, or just none at all?
Yeah, it'll be a combination of relist stuff that maybe gave it a break over the summer, but a fair amount of new inventory has come up in the last week and a half. We've listed quite a few new properties over the last 2 weeks. So,
and showings are picking up in the fall market? Are they kind of what you saw over the summer? Because again, I should probably tell people, your price point is a little bit higher than me and Steve's in terms of the average listing that you have. It's a different type of market, but what are you finding?
Yeah, for sure. So our market, our niche market, tends to lean a little bit more towards retirement or recreational, which just by nature tend to be at a little bit higher price points. So it's been very difficult in the higher price points this year, for sure. Anything that I would classify as discretionary real estate is a tough sell right now with so much volatility, world news. It's just people are feeling super, super comfortable making big discretionary purchases right now. And we're even finding that because we work so much with that boomer demographic, we're finding that they've been probably more rattled by anyone in the market right now. So a lot of political changes earlier in the year, the tariffs and scared of the orange man stuff seems to be really affecting their decisions. So,
but it's not if you're 60, retired, or working for fun and buying a secondary property in the $2.5 to $5 million range, all the stuff going on over there, is it fine? It's not financially handicapping them. It's just up here, right? It's just they just don't want to do it because it doesn't feel right. It's not just a math thing.
Well, they want to see other people doing it first,
right?
And we've been coaching our buyer clients pretty hard right now that there is a lot of opportunity in the market at the higher price points right now, and we're seeing that even with a lot of unsuccessful offers that we've had. We've seen sellers move significantly off their price. So there's a lot of people that are willing to take something low, but they're not necessarily willing to drop their list price a lot, just because everybody's kind of holding the line. And it's even been difficult for us to coach our seller clients about price reductions because the demand is so low in those upper price points that I can't necessarily guarantee a big change in activity, even if we make a material price adjustment. So we've
Right.
just basically got to say, hey, like, we encourage your offer, even if it's super low, bring us something and we'll work with it. Right. So, so it's a very interesting market, but there's, in my almost 20 years of doing this, there's more opportunity at the high end than I think there's ever been. So, we're down like in the key markets that we work in, the Blue Mountains, Collingwood area. That over $2 million price point is down anywhere from 75 to 85% this year.
Sales volume,
So,
not price.
like unit sales.
Unit sales, yeah.
Unit sales. Yeah, like prices are still remaining relatively steady. I mean, we're seeing things go out like on average in those two markets, like 94% of list price is what most stuff is going
Okay.
out at still. But yeah, there's definitely some hungry sellers out there at some of the upper price points. But convincing somebody to do it when no one else is very difficult. So
It's interesting because a lot of your market would also be, I don't know if they would classify it as an investment property, more just like a lifestyle property. But if you look at what's happening in my market, it's like the part of the market that's hurting the most is the investment condo space, where this isn't their primary residence. They're selling it because the numbers no longer work. Maybe they refied their house to buy this thing. They have a line of credit. There's all these different things, and that's why it's hurting. And you think like, well, maybe in your market as well, there'd be some desperate sellers. But I guess if they're buying these things cash and there's just less motivation for the prices to drop as much as you'd think, even if it's not their primary residence. Am I on to something there?
yeah, well, I think that's where the disconnect is with buyers right now in our market here, is that they think that there's more desperation from the sellers than there actually is, right? Like, we're not talking about like Bond where the guy bought peak of market and can't afford his mortgage payment.
Mhm.
Like, that's not the issue here. It's like most of the clients that we deal with, they want to sell, they want to move on, maybe they want to go back to the city to be near their kids or whatever. But they're only willing to take so much of a financial hit, otherwise they'll just stay, right? So it's just a little bit different. Like, there's very few distressed sales, at least in our core market, right? But the buyers are offering as if like, you should take my 30% under asked offer and like it. Like,
So, Mike, I'm gonna treat you like a seller right now, given that, because we're getting that too, right? Well, I want to sell, but I'm not going to sell for that price. Cool. Yep. I appreciate that. How long are you going to wait for that price? So that must be what you're coming across right now.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I can understand the buyer perspective, and like what Tom was talking about as an investment vehicle. I mean, there's more risk in the market for it to go down more than I think for us to see like recreational properties run away on the upside, next year like that. And that's what we were dealing with for the previous three. Like, people were making quick decisions because they were afraid that if they don't buy it today, it's going to be 10% more, in 3 months. That's not happening, right? There's more risk for the prices to fall further given the amount of inventory that we have. But what buyers need to understand is that sellers are willing to drop their price enough to mitigate that risk on the other side, right? So like, nobody can time the market perfectly, but if I had to call close to the bottom, I think we're there, at least in terms of what I know you can negotiate on the buy side right now.
Right.
Because I've seen it with failed offers where the sellers have come down a ton into what I would consider like, this is a great deal zone, but still not great enough for most of the buyers. So we've had, just over the last couple of weeks, we've had maybe 9 or 10 offers that we've had going at some of these upper price points, 2 million plus, and none of them are getting over the line.
Are they going back and forth at all? Or is it just, here's my offer, seller goes, all right, I'll come down a bit. And then buyer's like, see you later. I'm going to the next one.
Yeah. So what's really interesting is almost all of the offers that we're seeing out there right now are coming in best and final.
As the first offer.
So like indefensibly low, but best and final. Then the seller in most cases will give a reasonable sign back, and they're like, well, like, I was serious about best and final. Like, why are you sending it back? So I think there's just some alignment that needs to happen. I think most of the buyers that are out submitting those offers, they're going to find that the seller that's willing to take way below market value, there's so few of them out there. So if you want to buy, you're gonna have to pay something reasonable, especially like we're talking about like nice real estate, right? Like it's like this is quality real estate. I mean, that's not the kind of stuff you steal, right? So in most cases.
Why do you think it is that when, and this is a question for both of you, when prices are going up, buyers want to enter for fear of, if they don't enter now, the price could continue to go up and then they won't be able to get in? But when prices have gone down or continuously going down, sellers are not quick to try to be the next sale. They want to wait, even though every data point shows them, if you're serious about it in these market conditions, and Mike, like we chatted a few weeks ago, there's like 20 months of inventory in one type of property in your area. It's like there's nothing stopping people from making fast decisions on the way in, but they won't make fast decisions on the way out when the same thing is happening, the same leverage, just in other directions. I mean, Steve, why do you think that is?
Because as Mike alluded to, sellers aren't in as tough a spot. It's not like they can't make their next mortgage payment. So I just had a couple of condos, some selling successfully, some not. And it was kind of a thing like Mike is kind of alluding to. So you have not really any sales, right? So then you have all of the active listings, and you can't guarantee, like, listen, if you come down to this price, this is where you're going to get an offer. Like, we knew that for such a period of time that was like, listen, this is the price. If you go here, it'll sell. Then you have this feeling like we have now that you don't have that. So we don't have the certainty to be able to go to the agents. So I just had a seller this week say to me, listen, I'm not going to participate in a race to the bottom. I said, okay. So then if you don't want to participate in a race to the bottom, then you need to be the first next sale.
You need to be the lowest price now before
you need to be the lowest
price
now, but you also need to be the first. You have to make sure you're the first one that sells. I'm not going to race to the bottom. Well, you are a part of the race to the bottom if you're the second or the third one that sells next, right? And they're just not liking that. So, for instance, another one that did sell successfully, we brought it on. What do we say in the industry? At the seller's price, right? We were still the lowest price in the complex, but we brought it on at the seller's price. I actually got phone calls from 3 different agents that were quite ticked at me for bringing it on at that price. And then we did a price reduction closer to where I needed it, and it sold within $3,000 of my initial CMA, you would call it, right? Like it sold $3,000 less than where I wanted it positioned originally. So the answer in that complex is, if you want to even get an offer, which is going to be lower than you like, you need to be the best price by far. Now, that's obviously the condo market where there's a lot more exact comparables, right? But if you don't want to participate in this race to the bottom, you need to be the next one that sells. And I don't think enough, maybe it's agents not getting that point across very well, but this thought of like holding on because you hope that the price is there, that's not happening either. You need to be the next one.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I've been generally coaching our clients is, yes, I do believe that we'll have a higher demand environment next spring, almost without question. We're going to have interest rates dropping, and it's just, there's pent up demand in our market. There's no way that segment of the market just falls 84% and doesn't bounce back at some point. But the risk in the market is, who's going to be the seller that goes this fall that's going to cut the legs out from you, right? And that's right now, like sellers like even convincing a buyer, like we don't have many comps to draw from that are really current. So we're relying on like sales that happened 6 months ago. Well, the market's changed a lot, right? So I think that it's not so much that the market is going to get worse between now and next spring, but there's going to be guys in some of these pockets. Like I'll give an example. We sell a lot in a community called Laura Bay, where all the houses are very similar. They're all kind of like 1.6 to 2.6, so they're all very similar style, high-end kind of subdivision homes. There's a lot of inventory in there. Someone's going to take a price that's really low, and we've seen a couple this year. And now you're really stuck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because right now, for the most part, there's not a lot of low comps to really hurt your price, but there's going to be. Like by the end of October, guys that really want to sell and haven't gone, I mean, they're going to get super aggressive. And so although the market conditions are there's going to be more demand next spring, likely, like your comp may be 20% lower than it is currently.
Yeah. More buyers active, but prices may have dropped. Did you see, Mike, the post that Chris Smith put out last week? It got a lot of traction in the real estate community. Your house isn't worth what you paid plus what you spent plus what you need. It's worth what someone will pay today.
This episode is brought to you by Realty Ninja. Real estate agents, listen up. Realty Ninja has created over 9,000 Canadian real estate websites, and they are no joke. I've been using Realty Ninja in my business since they were a small little startup in North Vancouver. Tiny, dusty little office with old leather couch and all. But look at the ninjas now. Realty Ninja is the go-to platform for real estate agents in Canada. Websites are no longer a nice to have. They are a must. Your clients expect you to feature their listings in the best light possible. They expect you to go with Realty Ninja. The backbone of my real estate business is my website. I wouldn't pick any other company to host my website other than Realty Ninja. Don't believe me? Go to my website. Check it out right now. Go to krproperties.ca and you will see that it's powered by Realty Ninja and has been for over a decade. They have all of the features I need to grow my business year after year, including lead capture, mobile-friendly design, built-in SEO, and so much more. The best part of Realty Ninja is it's totally free to sign up, no credit card is required, and you only pay when you are ready to launch your new Realty Ninja website. And no, that's not it. Sign up today at realtyninja.com/Tom, and you will receive 20%, yes, 20% off of your entire first year when using Realty Ninja to host your real estate website. Their templates are super easy to work with yourself, or you can have the ninjas design something for you like I did. Not only is Realty Ninja the best product on the market, but it's also affordable. Listeners of this show know that I am as cheap as they come, and I've been using Realty Ninja for well over a decade now. Start your free trial today, and when you launch, save 20% using our link in the description below. And let Realty Ninja help you take your real estate business to the next level. And now, back to the podcast.
Well, that's definitely not general knowledge with the consumer. So, yeah, that's the exact map that most of them are using. So, and I mean, that map used to work.
Yeah.
So,
no, you're right.
It doesn't work currently.
We had a conversation with one of our clients 2 days ago, and the contract was coming up. I'm like, if you want to sell, I know how to sell. This is the price we have to go to. And he was basically like, yeah, but if I do that, I'll lose this much and I can't do it. And I need this. And I'm like, I hear you, man, but the markets suggest this. And there's about a $50,000 difference between what you need versus what is realistic. And if you were a buyer, would you buy your place at this price? And the answer would have been no. There's way more.
Tom, I'll ask you the same question though. I'll ask you the same question. If you don't cut bait now and sell, how long are you waiting?
So their thought process, it's like they did want to upsize, so you could have really made the strong argument, but selling now, they would have lost most of the initial down payment they put into that place, which would have hurt them big time. So his idea was, well, even if the prices drops a little bit more, at least I can save more money during that time period, pay down a bit more principal. I can't, if I sell for this price now, even though, yeah, I would be upsizing a down market, I don't have the down payment then to go to the next place.
So do you
That's the
think
issue.
in their brain, okay, so let's say we save up. Let's say that saving up takes a year, right? We can make it work. We're here for a year. They save up for a year. They save the extra money they need. In their brain, then at that point, is the sale price still only 50K less, or have they adjusted for an even further drop in the market?
It's a good question. I mean, I don't know. Every situation will be different.
Just trying to understand the psychology, because that's where, I mean, we're all as agents in the exact same position right now, but people are so optimistic that January or February or March is going to get them what they need now. And I'm like,
no,
guys,
this
we gotta
guy
stop the bleeding.
This guy knew. He knows, like, if you want prices to come back on your condo, like at earliest, we're talking about a 2027 month, realistically a 2028 month. He knew that. He's just like, but if I do this now at that price, I can't get what I want next anyways. So I'll just stay here, try to save more money, pay down the principal on my mortgage, and then we'll figure it out. So even if the price keeps going down on his place, if he saves more in that time period to get the next, I don't know. Maybe the next place goes up in money by then too, and then it's the same conversation. But it's a tough mental like back and forth, because I know how he could have sold, but he could not have done it.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the human brain has a hard time dealing with losing, right? So
yeah,
it's I think over the last few years, everybody just thought that real estate was this magical investment vehicle where you just are always a winner, right? And it's tough right now. So.
Speaking about being tough right now, the youth unemployment rate is extremely high. And one of the things that me and Steve have talked about this before, and Mike, I told you to give you some softball questions today, so we'll get right into foreign worker program. You look just what's happened. A lot of those jobs that potentially, and you could say, well, the Canadian youth that was born here wouldn't have taken those jobs or wouldn't have worked in the night shift or wanted better hours. There's all this conversation surrounding it, but we know it's a lot of newer Canadians that have been taking these jobs. And then at the same point, the youth unemployment rate has gotten extremely high. Carney said that he wants to basically reset the program, where he's going to overhaul it, where the foreign worker system better aligns with two specific things: housing supply, which is clear, and the job market and the job market need. So we still do need a certain level. You look at the birth rate in Canada, what's it like, 1.3? Have you guys seen recently? It's like 1.2, 1.3. Mm-hmm. So we're not repopulating ourselves. We have to have immigration of some level.
But why aren't we repopulating ourselves?
That's a good question. I don't know. Is it just because everything's more expensive? Is that the only reason, or is there other reasons?
Well, I think that's a huge factor. I mean, yeah. I think some of it is just the evolution of our societal values, right? Like whether or not people want that family dynamic earlier in life, right? But like when we look at when people were buying houses, when people were having children, I mean, that's changed so much over 2 decades. So is it a cultural shift? Or is it just that life is no longer available to me anymore, right? Like, am I going to start a family and live in a 700 square foot condo because that's all I can afford in Toronto, right? Like, would I make different decisions in life if I could still buy a nice house, start a family?
But I guess you could buy that 700 square foot condo in Toronto. You could buy an equivalent price property. I don't know if Guelph exists anymore for that type of stuff, but like those, it exists. It's just not where you want. So are we choosing just?
Well, I don't know that it does exist. It doesn't exist in the same way that it used to, right? Like
fair.
Like the cost of housing relative to wage growth is incomparable now compared to what it was. Like there's no way you can just be two blue collar parents that are working regular jobs and afford to buy a decent house to start a family. Like that's not happening unless your parents are giving you a big downstroke. I don't
Mhm.
really care what community you're in Ontario. Like, you can push
Yeah.
pretty far out before it becomes affordable as, just an average income person, right? I don't know
So
if you
maybe
disagree with
maybe I
that or
should have
not,
taken
but
it outside province.
Steve,
I probably should
Steve,
have said
Steve looks like he's really biting his tongue. Wants to chime in here.
I'm literally biting my tongue. I don't know. I think the younger generation needs to quit this thing where they're not drinking alcohol. Get out there, drink some alcohol, go to some nightclubs, and there will be some more babies out there.
Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
that is definitely a part of it, right? Like
You think
there's definitely a part of our society now where the people are not maturing in the same manner that they did before, and you can blame it on the reason. Listen, the reason you don't have a wife at 22 is not because housing is unaffordable. That's not the reason, right?
Yeah.
So like it's a different thing now. There's not nearly the nightclubs, the nightlife, the wanting to get together at a younger age. Kids are in school until they're 28 years old now. They don't grow up. They used to grow up earlier, right? Even so, the other day do you know kids here in BC now don't get their driver's license till they're 17? Cars are getting safer, and we're stopping kids from getting their driver's license till they're 17.
I think in
Like,
Alberta it's like 14 or 15,
in
isn't it? It's
Alberta,
younger.
you can drive a tractor at 2. Okay, like it really doesn't, like you can do whatever you want, but it's a societal shift. Now I do blame parents for that, right? I do heavily blame parents for, I don't know if you watch that. Do you guys ever watch South Park?
I've seen the new season.
The new season with the Labubu's. Did you see this?
That must be the newest episode. I saw the first 3.
It's the newest episode.
Okay.
It's episode 4. You're up to date. Almost up to date. There's a whole thing with these like Labubu dolls and all this, and it's funny because I've got a 10-year-old, 11-year-old now that's right into wanting a Labubu and all this stuff. Well, it turns out that the reason these girls want the Labubus is so they can do like a satanic ritual with them and summon Satan, which is hilarious. But then the counselor who happens to be Jesus,
this new Ouija board,
the counselor who happens to be Jesus, which is also hilarious, is interviewing the parents like, well, what are we going to do about this? And they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, we have to take away the Labubus from these girls that want to do satanic rituals. They're like, yeah, but what are you going to do? Like their friends all have them.
Mike, have you heard the word Labubu before today?
Yeah, actually, my wife was talking about it on the weekend. I had no idea what she was talking about, but
I'm just saying, like, it's a matter of I see the same thing. So my kids are not device kids, right? Like I don't let them have their iPads. They don't get to go around on the internet and then do all that stuff. And then when I'm talking to other parents in the school and stuff, they're like, well, how do you get them to go to bed so early? Like 9 o'clock for 11-year-old? That's crazy. My kid's up to like 11:30. I'm like, well, what do you mean? They go to bed. They read a book and they go to bed. Well, how do you get them off the iPad? I'm like, is this what we're raising? Like, you're the parent. Take away the goddamn iPad. Right? Like, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't think we have the same, this is just to illustrate, we don't have the same morals. We don't have the same things that we thought were important previously. And house prices being expensive is the excuse that's always used about why somebody's not getting married at 22 years old. And it's not the thing. It's not why you're not having kids. They're not even dating anymore.
I don't think I don't think it's driving a 22-year-old, but I think it's driving the decision making of older, like the 30 to 40 cohort that's making those decisions. I think that's when it becomes, I think the days of the 22-year-old planning his family and wanting to buy a house, I don't think that's happening right now, but for sure it's a decision that's getting made because we have friends that are in that boat, and it's just like, we have to make such a big, like if they live in central Toronto, they have to make a very big lifestyle change to have that affordability, right? It means we got to leave our neighborhood entirely to go to Guelph and then commute to the city or whatever, right? So they're big decisions to make, but yeah, like I don't think it's, by no means do I think that is why we're not keeping up on the population side.
It's alcohol, right? Alcohol.
I think it's a factor. Yeah.
Get rid of Tinder, make people hook up in person, and you know what? I just had an
The
idea.
problem with
Just
the
hit me.
youth is that they're not
Let's
drinking enough alcohol.
Subsidize happy hour, right? On Friday afternoons for anybody under 25 years old, 19 to 25. Government, Carney, you want to spend some more money on, what does he call it? Investment? Invest in population growth. Start plying young people with alcohol at 24 years old. There's going to be more population naturally.
I knew we'd eventually just fall completely off the rails on the show, and I think it finally happened.
Steve's really looking for a new sponsor of the Tom Storey Show.
Trojan Condoms is out. They just
Trojan Condoms, and
we're not taking them. Yeah.
I was Mike, I don't know if we talked about it, but I was in Costa Rica for a friend's wedding, and there was this one bar on the beach, and it just said all day happy hour. It was just 24-hour happy hour. I'm like, sounds like just a happy day at all times.
You know where they don't have a problem with population?
Costa Rica?
Central America. You betcha.
Got it. All right.
Everybody's having a good time down there.
This episode of the Tom Storey Show is brought to you by Karrasch Dunlop. Real estate agents, you spend months, if not years, earning your clients' trust. You don't want to lose it on inspection day. For over 45 years, top agents across Canada have relied on Karrasch Dunlop for home inspections that are clear, calm, and client first. Their inspections don't just find issues, they know how to explain them in a way that will protect your client and your credibility. If you haven't worked with Karrasch Dunlop yet, now is the time to find out why Canada's best trust Karrasch Dunlop for home inspections. You can learn more at carsondunlop.com. I will also tell you, in the Toronto real estate market, whenever I see a pre-home inspection by Karrasch Dunlop, I know my buyers can trust it. And Karrasch Dunlop is a company we've used so many times over the years for our buyers and sellers. carsondunlop.com. And now, back to the podcast. Any final thoughts on this topic, Mike?
No, I'm sorry to derail the show.
I don't recall your initial question.
It was foreign worker policy.
Yeah, foreign worker policy. So, yes, I think there is a problem with our foreign worker policy. It's, definitely the system is getting taken advantage of. And that's part of the reason that the younger cohort are not working those jobs is because the wage growth hasn't been there, right? Because we're bringing in unskilled workers that are taking youth jobs rather than skilled workers coming in to take the jobs where we're actually short, right?
Do you guys think that we need foreign workers in a Tim Hortons in a small town? Because this is what they're talking about. This was the CBC's push on it was, well, there's nobody that's willing to or able to wash the dishes in a restaurant of a town that has only 2 restaurants. I personally don't feel that that's the case. I feel like if you had a job like that in a small town, the jobs would get filled. You might have to pay more than you like, but that's the cost of doing business. And that's what they've done, right? Is suppress. So like, do you think, obviously everybody's like, okay, well, we need to have seasonal work for agriculture because you can't employ everybody all year round, and you definitely can't do it at minimum wage to only give them a job for 3 or 4 months picking strawberries, right? Strawberry season's actually only 3 weeks here in BC, just so you know. I used to sell strawberries as a teenager, back when I could get it at work as a teenager. But it was like, where do we actually need? I think we can all say that agriculture, we need temporary workers. But where do we actually need temporary workers in any other position? I don't think it's at the drive-through of an A&W.
Yeah. Well, there's no question that the system is being gamed. Like, I mean, I'm sure you've seen some of these job postings. Yeah. Like there was the one that was floating around, a manager of a booster juice that was offering the equivalent of $72,000 a year, and this is in a relatively rural community. They weren't able to find anyone local that was willing to do that for 70 grand, right? Like there's all of these jobs that are posted at, making like $36 to $40 an hour. It's hard to believe that there's not people that are there for those jobs, but
There was a recent report that came out, and they actually broke it down. This is just for Toronto, but it's the numbers would make sense for most of our markets, and it's just how much you'd need. And this isn't home ownership, but how much you'd need to earn to rent the average Toronto property for a 1-bedroom and a 2-bedroom. So in Toronto, you need to earn $37 an hour is what your minimum is, what the minimum is to rent a 1-bedroom. If you want to rent a 2-bedroom condo, you have to earn $44.80 an hour. So the number of minimum wage jobs that you need to rent a 1-bedroom in Toronto is 2.2. So you, your spouse, and you have a friend that rotates that lives there.
So you need to make $91,520 per year.
That's what they're saying. And they're probably doing the math on like how much of your income should actually go to housing costs versus how much it actually goes to housing costs for a lot of people across Canada for rent. Vancouver was right behind. The numbers were basically identical. The third was actually Calgary. It was $30 an hour to rent a 1-bedroom, $36 for a 2-bedroom, followed by Guelph, Oshawa, Halifax, Barrie, Ottawa. I don't see Collingwood on here. Maybe they don't have any rental properties up there, Mike. It's all seasonal. But it just kind of shows you, right? Like minimum wage in Toronto now is over $17, I think. But you add it together and it just, 2 people without some type of other family support can basically, they have to, shouldn't that create more relationships that I guess it's just roommates at this point, that that people get together to make housing more affordable, right? It's no different than, Steve, you leasing out your basement. It's just another version of making your house cost less to own, or your ownership situation or where you're living, right? I don't know if I have any questions about that. Just wanted to bring that up just to change the topic from where we previously were.
You know what the solution to that is?
Okay.
$3 million modular homes.
Oh, 3.2. Yeah. So let's.
Yeah, we talked about this last week. Yeah.
So no, let's talk about this. So the 6 different areas is federally owned land. The first announcement is 4,000 homes for a total investment of $13 billion, which would make the average factory built home worth $3.25 million. Is that what it was? 3.250.
Buy your Brookfield stock now.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of Canadians that are in terrible situations that can't afford reasonable housing. If we can say we're going to build 4,000 places for them to live, we should at least feel hopeful that it could be done. No, I know that our track record's not very good. And where does that $13 billion come from? Taxpayer money. I totally get it.
$13 billion.
It's not $13 billion to build, by the way, Mike, like they're going to build more than 4,000 homes. This is just the first announcement. The $13 billion will cover many more homes.
Yeah. When you look at the plan, I mean, there's, in my opinion, there's a lot of stuff that makes sense, cutting the red tape, making it easier to build, the financing piece of it for the private sector. The thing that is the huge red flag is putting this development in the hands of the government.
Right.
I mean, that as an example, if the math is working up to 3 million, that's their positive. That's their estimate. When have they ever come in on estimate, right? Like, I mean, there is no way that the government manages this and it's a success. The only way that they can successfully do this is put it back in the hands of the private sector to do it and incent them through making it easier to get through the process. The financing side of it is great too, but it's just, I have zero confidence in the federal government to be a real estate developer successfully.
Yeah. And where are the areas again, Steve? It's Toronto, Ottawa, Winnipeg, Edmonton,
somewhere outside of Montreal, and Dartmouth, wherever that is.
Andrew Stevens will be mad that you didn't know what Dartmouth was.
Is that what I said, Dartmouth? I just want to point out that you could give 13,000 people $1 million. for the same thing. So could we give maybe 26,000 of the most vulnerable just $500,000 each? They could just buy a condo right now.
That would increase demand.
And that's working out the 13 billion number, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
When you look at like the total spend of their plan is way more than 13 billion.
Yeah.
So
Originally,
that's
when
So-
Tom texted me this originally, and he was going to go on the news, my response basically was back like, I'm sure it'll come in on budget. It'll be beautiful housing, and everybody will enjoy living there. All the best. Stupid.
Yeah.
I
It'd be
actually
interesting to know how that plan is polling with Canadians overall. Like does anyone think that that's a good idea, or is it just it's just we're too involved in it to know that it's
I think
a bad idea?
I think we're too involved. I think most people would see that, and not probably the people that watch this show, but just most people would watch that in the news and go like, "Oh, great, the government's going to help build affordable homes," right? And
David
that's where
Cochran loves it.
that's where the headline ends, and then they move on with their day.
Yep.
And then they watch more of whatever else is on the news, and they forget about this
$13 billion
anyways.
announcement that will never happen.
Yeah. Well, I would suspect that the CBC is certainly in favor of it, so I'm sure they have a very positive spin.
I did CTV on it, but when I did it, I didn't even know where any of the locations were. It was like 2 hours after it was announced. I just went on. I was like, I think the idea is nice, right? To help people that need it. But we need more details, and we need the execution of this idea to actually move the needle to change Canadian lives. Bank of Canada decided last week to cut the interest rates again. We're now down to 2.5. Wasn't that long ago, guys? We were at 5. So the overnight rate has been cut in half, which is not nothing. But since it's been cut in half, you know what hasn't gone up at all? Housing prices.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, they've continued to fall. So my question to you, Mike, is whether they stick to 2.5 until the end of the year, or they go as low as 2 for the overnight rate. The 5-year bond yield continues to dip down. It's been under 3 for a while now. So the fixed rates, I'm seeing fixed rates in like the high 3s, like reasonable-ish rates from what we were used to the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
What needs to happen now? Like, Mike, we talked about in your market, the people could make decisions, but they're not because of everything else surrounding it. Is it just a trade deal is the first thing that has to happen, and that hits the news, and then a few more interest rate cuts, the bond yield continues to go down, so the fixed rate drops a bit. We still have lots of inventory to be absorbed, so that's going to still take some time once the demand comes back. But all your sellers that are saying to you and me and Steve, well, how long do I have to wait to actually get the price I want, even if I'm realistic that it doesn't exist right now? What levers have to be pulled to get us to that point that the real estate market's not sideways or trading downwards?
Well, I think our market's a little bit different. Like our key demographic that we're working with here is a little bit different. I mean, it's not, as we talked about before, it's not primarily an affordability issue. I do think that rates are getting to a point now where I do think it's going to have a material impact on, families trading, like subdivision homes, that kind of stuff, because it's starting to materially change your affordability, right?
Mm-hmm.
With respect to the discretionary real estate, I mean, I think it has to move quite a bit more to move the needle on that stuff.
But is it rates? What is it?
Well, you know what's funny? It's the decision is not made on rates, but I can tell you the amount of times that I've heard my clients bring up the rate, like they're very hyper focused on it, even though it's meaningless to them. I mean, like a lot of the people that we're working with here, they're not even mortgaging their houses yet.
Right.
They're talking about rates all the time, right? So, which is interesting. I think we're back on to the race to 0% rates again. So they will make the same mistake again. So especially now, now that we're likely to see a bunch of rate cuts in the U.S. now,
Right.
I think that's going to make it very easy for the Bank of Canada to drop as well. I think there's been a lot of stuff I'm certainly no expert on this, but there's been a lot of stuff that's kind of changed in terms of what their mission statement is too, like with the Bank of Canada, right? So one, it appears that 2% inflation is no longer really a thing. It seems like everybody's kind of accepted 3 as as a benchmark that they're trying to stay under. I mean, the headline was 1.9, but the basket is made up so much of housing, and housing has dropped so much that I'm not sure that that headline number is really reflective of what's actually going on in terms of affordability.
It's funny because it was the opposite before, that mortgage payments were up so much that housing was pushing the inflation looking much worse than it really was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think anybody would say that the prices have not continued to rise in almost every aspect of our lives outside of housing recently, right? So anyway, I think we're going to see rates get cut further and further with likely more tough employment data and stuff that's going to continue to come out in Canada. So I think we're going to be in very aggressive rates again very soon here. I mean, I am looking at fixing in like a lot of our debt, but I don't think I'll be making any moves with that until next spring. So, yeah.
Do you guys think that
I think we're just breaking the ice right now?
Do you think that all the bad buys have to clear out of the system? Like we have to roll over past March 2027 with the last of the 5-year fixed money that was relatively low, I guess February 2027, when all of that kind of last money, well, I guess there could be 3 or 4 months after that for a rate hold as well. So it might not be until halfway through 27. But like those people, a lot of those people, do you think there was enough of those that were all variable that they're going to be cleared out before then? Or do you think we have to wait until 5 years after the peak of the market to know really where we stand?
You want to go for it, Mike?
Does that make any sense?
Yeah,
You're trying to figure out what I said.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's still a lot of that stuff that needs to clear out. I don't know. Do you know what the numbers are in terms of the percentage of people that book fixed rate mortgages versus variable rate in Canada? Do you have any sense for what those numbers are?
I don't, but the scary thing is that as the prices were rapidly going up before we hit the peak, the fixed rate was already so much higher that people were going variable, not because they wanted to, because they could get approved for more money, because it lowered the stress test, because the variable was so much lower than the fixed at that time. And I feel like that was part of the problem. But the lead up to the peak and the after the peak, like I know, Steve, you're talking about like a whole 5-year period, but it was probably 8 months of prices being like way higher than they were before and way higher than they were after. So it would probably be that zone of those sellers are going to.
By your reasoning then, Tom, like and I agree with you, like almost always when I was selling homes to homeowners anyway, they went on a fixed product up until, for some reason, 2021, everybody went variable. So there's a greater chance that we have seen so much pain in the market now because there was a much great, like if it was 65-35 and that switched to 65% variable, and then all of those people have ridden through 3 or 4 years of pain now, there's a chance that maybe that could actually be a good thing for us, because maybe we've seen much more pain earlier on.
That's a good point.
Than necessarily we should have, and it wouldn't have been so bad if those people took those. I remember one client. They're like, it's 189 for a variable. I can't possibly sign that 225 for 5 years. And I was just like, you're insane. And they're like, yep, no, I'm not going to do it. And then obviously they went up from a quarter point or whatever they were to
7. Variables got over 7% if you wrote it all the way up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's been
Or trigger
interesting here.
notice,
Like I would have, as much inventory as that we have, like in the recreational space, I would have expected there to be a much larger flood of inventory, given the amount of people I know that were leveraging home equity lines and stuff to buy, like certainly $1 million plus recreational properties up here. When those rates hit the peak and then kind of stayed there for a while, I was very surprised that we didn't see an absolute flood of inventory.
Do you think that's just because of the way that the mortgages worked and how they allowed people to just extend amortizations?
Yeah, I think that's a lot. Obviously has a lot to do with it, but still to this point, like I'm like even some of my clients that I know are making a lot of money, but I mean they live in a $5 million place in the city and have a $3 million recreational place up here. Like, like unless you're making a ridiculous amount of money in terms of your salary, your incomes, like that's a lot of leverage, right? And I'm shocked that that people are more averse to that. So
I just think for the market to, and I don't mean turn like prices start going up crazy again, but really just for like, I have this sneaking suspicion that our sales volume has bottomed, but prices haven't for Toronto. That's how I think sales will bottom before prices, just like prices bottom before sales on the way up. I just have this feeling that sales are going to get a little bit better here, but a few things still need to change. Just the volume of transactions. Not saying prices couldn't still go down or that they're going to go up at any point soon. Because like Steve, we used to always joke about the fact that like we've had crazy years, we've had really slow years, and the best thing that possibly for a real estate agent would be a boring year. But when we said boring, we meant like a few more sales than this.
Yeah,
like,
we didn't mean frustrating as all hell.
I mean, Mike, do you want to tell I think this would be, I don't know if consumers will find this interesting, but when we did our business planning this year, what was the mindset that you, me, and Chris thought about, not prices, just specifically sales volume, and then how that shifted so quickly?
Yeah. Well, I think it was, we said to our teams that if you're not planning for a minimum of 15 to 20% bump in your business in 2025, you're just staying the same. So in all honesty, I think that would have been the case had we not had the US election and then our federal election and the whole tariff thing, right? Like, I don't know. I don't know specifically in your market, but leading up until February, I mean, we had material turnaround in October, November, December, and we were like, I think we were all like, hey, like we made it through the worst of it, right? And then we just got absolutely punched in the face in February, right? Yeah. Now, like, how much of the crisis was manufactured that really stomped on the real estate market? I mean, I'm not sure that anything materially changed economically during that period, right? It was just people were so hyper focused and the media narrative was scaring people so much. Like April here in it was like the lost month of real estate. Yeah. Like, especially with the demographic that I deal with, like there wasn't anybody even thinking about buying a house in April, which is crazy, right? Because that's always our, March, April is always our busiest month, right? So it's just, I think that's just like outside of real estate, there's just so much anxiety for everything that's going on in the world. And I think like we even feel it personally, right? Like the stuff that we consume in the media, like it's
the propaganda is the propaganda is real, Mike. Like, I'm going to say the craziness that we went through with COVID, it was almost like that hysteria, if you want to call it that, was a microcosm. Like, it was all funneled into a 2-month period around our election and what was going on in the States and all of those things, right? Like, the amount of fear that I saw coming out of people 60 and older in that amount of time is insane. And in my estimation, to your point at the beginning, almost completely unjustified, because the most afraid people of our economy were the people on pensions with paid off houses.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is insane to me. And it froze our market. Everybody's like, I'm not doing nothing. Just like COVID all over again. I remember when COVID lockdown hit, I was in the backyard. I got a phone call from my managing broker, and I was in the backyard of a brand new listing of a repeat client of mine. And he's like, hey, I need to know when your team can come in to clear out their offices. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, that mass hysteria of like, we're shutting down was almost there again, basically. But it was only there for, for some reason, 60 plus year olds.
There might have been more sales that happened in April 2020 than sales that happened in April 2025.
Feels like it.
I'd have to look back. Honestly, it's probably not that different.
I'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. We went from the biggest crisis in Canadian history to we have the best trade deal that anyone can ever get.
We do have the best trade deal, don't we?
So yeah.
Hey, podcast listener, if you're looking to buy or sell a property in Surrey or the Fraser Valley, you have to reach out to Steve Karrasch, my co-host. As much as we make fun of each other on this show, the truth is that I do this podcast with him because he is reliable. He has an opinion. He knows what he's doing. He has a ton of experience. And although I have never personally sold a home with Steve, if I were and I was in that area, he would be my number one choice. And let's be honest with each other. As much as he has a hard exterior on the show, he's a little bit of a softie once you get digging a little bit deeper. So you can reach out to Steve. There's a link in the description. I hope you enjoy the rest of the podcast.
But yeah, it's
Also, the exact same deal we had before. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
But it was always the best deal. All right, well, let's as Steve looks up this number, is there any opportunities that you see, Mike, in your market? Because I know, like, it sounds like if you listen to this whole episode that 0 homes have sold in Collingwood, Thornbury, Meaford, but that's not true.
Yeah, so the actual data is that in many cases we're up over last year, right? Like, it's happening in different segments of the market. Like, August blew the doors off of 2024 August, like, huge rebound month, and very unusual for August to be a turnaround from June and July. Like, that never happens. Like, sometimes in September, but there was pent up demand, and I think we got far enough away from the election stuff that people started to transact. But like, many of the price points are doing fine. And it's funny, like, the luxury discretionary segment is obviously really tough. We've talked about that. But the other price points are doing okay. And certain communities, like, we worked a little bit like over east up here, like Wasaga Beach, and even east, like to Meaford, where we get into more affordable price points, and the people that are transacting are a little bit different than the ones that we tend to work with in the Blue Mountains.
Right.
Like, those markets are doing fine. Like, it's a small segment of the market that just happens to be my niche market that's really difficult right now. And I don't blame them. Like, if I was going to buy a discretionary piece of real estate right now, I'd want to think that I was getting a good deal on it.
If I'm moving up that way and I can't afford the Collingwood, Thornbury area, is it like Meaford, Owen Sound, and Wasaga? Are those like the areas I would look at outside Thornbury and like Collingwood?
I mean, generally speaking, like, Collingwood, Thornbury prices are pretty comparable. It's just in the Blue Mountains, there just tends to be more of the luxury stuff, like the big stuff. Anywhere from the base of the mountain over to Thornbury it's not that the prices are higher, it's just there's more luxury style houses there.
Just bigger houses.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But like if you were buying in town Thornbury versus in town Collingwood, I mean they're pretty comparable. But yeah, like definitely our perimeter neighborhoods like Wasaga Beach, Nottawa, like Owensound, Meaford, yeah, obviously way more affordable. But
Mhm.
because when you push out into a lot of those areas, you've lost the recreational demographic, right? So
Right.
there's not nearly as many people competing for that real estate, right? Like Thornbury goes from 5,000 population to 25,000 on the weekend, right? So
Right.
that's the difference.
Steve, did you find those numbers for the Aprils?
Yeah, it was still 2020 was a lot less, but it was the only.
But how much
year.
less?
So it was like in my market, it was like 600 and something versus 900.
Okay.
This
all
year.
right, fine.
So it was 50% more, let's call it. But at the same time, it's the only April I could find on record that was lower in sales than March. Right. So that is, here's something, I don't know if you guys have this ability. We've got a very good stat system.
No, your system is better than
Fraser
ours.
Valley board. Something I've been looking at recently, I'm like, why do they have this rolling months average that they supply us with? I'm like, this is such a stupid stat. And so I've been taking a look at rolling months averages so we can do 3, 6, or 12. I think we might be able to do 9 too. I could look and just tell you the right answer. No, we can do 3, 6, or 12. But it's been very interesting because we know the market is not the market this month. The market is what's going on over a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I've started doing things like month supply and, sales, new listings, HPI. I'm doing all of those things with a 12-month rolling average because I feel that's what it tells you now, what the market's really kind of done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not this specific price, but like where are the trends going averaged out over a 12-month period? And let me tell you, when I did that with pricing, it was eye-opening. If you do that with pricing, basically you've seen no recovery since December 23. Or sorry, December 22, January 23. It fell off the map, you remember, after interest rates.
And then has just
it's basically gone almost flat since then. Like it's had a little bit. If you do that, month supply is still going up. Active listings still going up, even though the numbers say active listings are coming down, but the trend over a year is still going up, and sales still tend to be going down. So it was a very interesting way to go, okay, this is actually reflecting more of what I feel in the market over the year, as opposed to, this month, because remember when those July numbers came out, everybody in Toronto was like, we're back, baby, we're back. Yeah, maybe not so much.
We just had nothing. It's like the Leafs winning a playoff series. It's like, this doesn't happen very often. Let's get excited about it.
So yeah, the data is definitely like more nuanced right now than it was before, right? So like even reviewing some of the numbers this morning before coming on here, like there's some stuff that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Like our very lowest price points are way up, and our highest price points are excessively down, but our average price is slightly up. It's like, so it's interesting.
That's the problem, is like, as someone that makes videos on a weekly basis going over the numbers, my video title or the point I'm trying to get across in the video could dramatically change whether I use benchmark price, median price, or average price. Completely could change what people think is happening in the market, what's really going on, like could completely shift across. And even like the big statements being made about the condo market right now. Like I took a look recently, I actually just took the last 100 days, and there was about 3,500 condos that had sold in the city of Toronto in the last 100 days. And I broke them all down based on like square footage, $100,000 price brackets, bedrooms, if they had parking, and what their occupancy status was, to get like every data point. And and what it kind of told me is like the most in-demand condo based on what's actually selling is a mid-sized 2-bedroom with parking under 800,000 that's owner occupied or vacant. And that's kind of what I saw in the market anyways. And then it told me the most not in-demand condo is a bachelor condo with no parking that is tenanted. And those things are kind of obvious when you say them out loud. But you'd think like the occupancy status is maybe the number one thing stopping properties from selling, because only 8% of those sales were tenanted. It's basically impossible to sell a tenanted property. But the number one thing that was actually the main difference is of those 3,500 sales, 82% of them had a parking spot. So and you'd think like, again, Steve, in your market, maybe all condos have parking. It's not like that in Toronto. And we've sold so many condos with no parking over the years. It was just easy math. Well, the parking's worth this much in the building. Let's remove the value of parking. Here's your value. The problem is if you don't have it, it's not just removing the value and that's where you sell now. You lost 80% of the demand. It's gone. Yeah. That's actually, and I wouldn't know that if I didn't like break this down and look through all the numbers, but it's not occupancy status just anymore. It's if you don't have parking, the chances of selling are just extremely low.
But that's natural. Like when I look at, say for instance, I have somebody looking for a townhouse in my area and there's 5 that fit their criteria. We'll go see those 5. But now there's 115 that fit their criteria. So now I'm going, okay, end units only, with only one neighbor on one side, side-by-side parking only instead of tandem. Like you start narrowing down. It has to be a powder room on the main, can't be, only 2 baths up or whatever. And you start narrowing it down. So then if you don't have those features, what are your chances of really selling? Only if you get your price down a ton to make up for it.
What do you think's more likely? What do you think's more likely, Mike? A variable rate in the next 12 months being under, so hold on. What's more likely? The Bank of Canada being under 2% on the overnight rate, or a fixed rate being under 3.5%?
By end of year?
Next 12 months.
Yeah. Oh, Bank of Canada rate high. The fixed rates are always very sticky going down versus going back up. So I think they'll drag out the fixed rates moving for as long as possible and just say that we've already priced that in for 6 months.
Right.
So yeah. So I think high likelihood by spring we'll see we'll see 2-3 more drops by the Bank of Canada. Be my guess. Maybe we'll get a 50 dip in there.
So would you be taking a variable right now?
I will stay on my variable rate now that I have, with the intention of probably fixing in our debt by next spring.
Okay, like so you're gonna wait a little bit more.
Like if I can fix it for 3%, like I think I'll take that and run.
Sure.
So, Tom, what do you think will be lower? Remove the decimal point. What do you think will be lower by June next year? The Bank of Canada interest rate or my weight?
Okay. What do I want to be lower?
No, I'm saying which one do you actually think will be lower? We can have Mike chime in too.
Can you tell me your current weight? Because that would help. Are you above or below? Yeah, are you above or below 200 right now?
I'm well above 200 pounds.
Are you really?
Yes.
Okay. Where did you start? Where did you start before you started your journey?
What's your year-over-year inflation on weight?
My year-over-year is up 10% for sure. All right, so if you've been listening to this podcast for a long time, it was at 2023 I did a challenge for weight. I went from 243 to 194, and now I'm back at a solid 220, probably 220.
Okay. So you're asking, do I think you'll go under? I'm just assuming Bank of Canada
will get to 2. I'm just asking if you remove, we're currently right now at 2.
How long do I have?
50, and I'm well under that. I'm going to say the over-under is 225, so the one more cut. And then the question is, can I lower my weight more than the Bank of Canada reduces their rate?
In what? How? What's the time period?
Let's say May next year. Which one do you think will be lower?
Well, based on my prediction, it's not looking good for you. But
By the way, editor, this is a very good short
Yeah.
for next to this week.
I'm going to say, for the sake
Steve's-
of wanting you to lose the weight, if that's what you want to do, I'm going to put my money on you. Actually, that's not going to help because you'll want me to lose my money. So,
Well, or yeah, like I want you to lose your money so I can have a greater risk of heart attack. Yeah, that's what I want, Tom. I won that bet.
you can audition for the Machinist Part 2. So
I don't think I'll ever have threat of getting that job.
all right. Well, that was fun.
You didn't give me an answer. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. Who do you have more faith in? Your co-host of 3 years of
No,
the
you're
Tom
talking about
Storey Show,
who do
or-
I think
or
I have more
Tiff
faith in?
Macklem?
No, it's not TIFF. It's the Canadian economy and the job report and inflation data.
These are the core questions that we're trying to
I
answer
do
here
think
on the
Bank
Tom
of
Storey
Canada
Show.
gets to at least 2 in the next 12 months on the overnight rate.
Okay.
I don't know if are you interested in losing weight or are you committed in losing weight?
I'm always interested in it.
I'm not then I'm betting on Bank of Canada. Unless you're committed, you're not going to do it.
is there any motivation for you to lose weight other than winning bets? Is there?
Generally speaking, no.
No.
If somebody wants to bet me again, though, I will crush you just like last time. Sorry, Keith.
That's what we need. We need someone to start a feud with Steve about losing weight, and he'll beat you if you motivate him.
Yeah, I'm not
I
taking
will
the bait.
crush
Yeah.
So.
Mike, you got some pounds to lose? Let's go.
Yeah, I do.
Mike
Yeah.
was the original
I-
first CrossFitter in Canada, first one.
I wonder if I have the same competitive spirit as you.
It's only one way to find out, my friend.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, let us know in the comments what you think is going to happen. Steve under 200 pounds or Bank of Canada to 2% overnight rate first. Let us know down below. If you are looking to make a move to South Georgian Bay, Collingwood, Meaford, Thornbury, all the different surrounding areas, make sure to give Mike a shout because his team is phenomenal up there. And we joke around today, but really, really good at what he does. And that's it. That's all. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
So stupid.